time, you know, alone was the AD carry, someone who wasn't as well respected, not even close to LWX here. So this is a great composition to protect LWX and maybe a pretty heavily, you know, burst build related to just poking in the later.
I just find it funny that Doinb's playing Karma into XiaoHu, which a lot of people will know Karma has been his go-to, whether favored by the fans or not.
Once again, I tend to favor FPX's composition. I think their bot lane duo is a lot stronger when it comes to assisting with the ganks, and their top side is technically a counter pick. And if you look at mid jungle priority, RNG do have a lot of kill threat, but it's a double AP composition against Karma priority. So I feel like FPX, even on the blue side, should be able to secure early game.
All right, gentlemen, going into... by the smallest amount, even though there are LGD chants at the venue as well. You can hear Doinb's wife, and you can hear the passion behind FPX and the environment in the arena.
Yep, chant leader. Has been since day one. So it's fun to be able to see that emotional factor come into play here. But just coming right at the get-go, taking a look at this, so it's going to be comment start up here for Doinb, because the main goal is to keep XiaoHu down. Poke him consistently. There's a kill threat here alongside Gragas after he finds a base off, gets his boots ready. So, you know, if I'm looking towards Tian, Tian is one of the rare junglers here in the LPL that does look to play through all three lanes. And while heavily he tends to focus towards the bot side of the map, he does find opportunities to go topside, much like we saw in the last game when he was trying to fish for plays. And I think this time around, he has a good matchup here with the Gnar and tow for Gimgoon.
And I think it's really interesting that both of the junglers are starting on the top side as well, unassisted. So that just goes to show you how much they're really looking at that top lane matchup and saying that this could be the deciding point between the matchup. The other rest of the lanes, you don't really expect that many kills to happen.
Yeah, maybe top to bot turns out into a kill for Karsa. We'll have to see. Good trades coming through.
With that early aggression once again from RNG.
Exactly. But the reason why Karsa would go towards Frugs here is because he's looking at a, you know, Tian on the Gragas pick, wanting to get his full side of the map cleared out, go back to base and pick up his boots. He's going to be farming a little bit more heavily. Elise doesn't want to be just throwing out haymakers in an experience disadvantage. So it makes a lot more sense. He'll try and move towards the bottom side of the map. There's a reason why the ward is there in the river, so he can look to fight for Scuttle Crab control. It's going to be difficult if FPX tries to look to contest for it.
Has just expired now on their main buffs. Red and blue alike. Scuttle spawning in about 15 seconds time, with RNG's bottom lane having this shot.
And I mean, it's also just good vision really early on in the game to see if Tian's starting bot side and wants to swap the, you know, trade sides of the map and force Karsa to play towards the top side of the map. So those are the risks involved. I remember earlier on Clement making a point about how Karsa tends to want to start towards bot side a lot. But this time around took that risk, and he's paying off with the Scuttle Crab now picked up for Karsa.
Crisp in a lot of trouble here. We'll have to sustain with the passive, but Uzi and Ming still pushing in, still bullying out the cow, with Tian now nearby on the Krugs. Karsa making his entrance known as well.
He sees him.
Yep, and Karsa right now fishing for a potential tower dive. The HP they took off of the bottom lane was quite substantial, but Tian in the right place at the right time. That's not going to work out.
But with the pressure, this happens every time, by the way, for RNG. Yep. Even if they don't end up finding the kill, just being able to force waves off of LWX, be it just not being able to farm underneath the turret, consistently trying to get poke underneath that tower as well, that's the strategy RNG ends up looking for. If they don't get the dive, they still get a lot of gold in favor of Uzi.
And the sheen on the first back here for the Ezreal. So the start is there. Teleport doesn't have to be burnt as well. So Uzi can just walk back to lane with Ming. And LWX and Chris looking to reset the wave finally.
And I have to say this is going quite well for RNG. None of their lanes have been perturbed, and they're just racing ahead with the CS leads, especially in the bot side. Both times RNG were able to find level advantages and just push into CS leads. Very well done on that matchup.
I just want to see what happens off first base, because my expectation is, you know, fair enough, RNG doing well right now.
Yep.
But the solo lanes for FPX are definitely stronger. If I'm looking towards Gimgoon, going towards, I would expect to be, you know, picking up an early Grievous Wound item just to be able to keep Langx down.
No.
Wow.
Oh, my lord.
You kidding?
That smite was like 50 HP off.
Get off of me.
That's great. Yes,
And we
flash it.
emoting too.
But you need to emote in the lane or on a ward.
So he can see. No. That's just for us, Clement.
Yeah,
That's just for us.
That's what, people out there, you don't always flex in front of a mirror. You just flex to feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was for the coach.
That was 60 gold, just taken away with a simple barrel roll. So net win for Tian. Oh, we're getting a replay.
What?
Yeah,
We're getting a small replay.
So, of course, he knew that they were on the Krugs to begin with. So that information was definitely there. The shove came through from Doinb, so this was nice and safe. Yep, sad. Really sad to see it happening. That's a pretty valuable Krug camp, too. And he was able to take Krugs of his own bot side. That's going to turn into an experience advantage pretty easily for Tian.
Already level 5. Karsa caught up eventually, but you can see pings going down with the Gragas who steals away. He has access to the bottom side, but with that deep control ward from RNG, it'll be hard to get down there.
Yeah, and that's the concern here. With how well Tian technically did up top side, that was still a nice cheeky play, but the vision control is pretty heavily in favor of RNG on the bot side of the map. Karsa has free reign of the enemy red side jungle. And take a look at the minimap. Zoe's already on the way.
At the dredge line that lands again onto Chris. Here comes Karsa looking for the cocoon. He sends out the volatile spiraling, and Chris gets ignited, but no! The Elise dies first. FPX making it 1-for-1, but here comes the teleport down as Uzi is stuck in the middle. The bubble won't do a damn thing as FPX make the turn.
Look at that outplay. Just like that, the Alistar was stuck in a position, got a nice 2-man headbutt pull, and was able to get a great position for FPX, but it's not over. Ming got to walk away now.
And I really like that decision-making from Doinb. He actually held on to the lane, knew what the play was going to happen, but FPX were prepared. They had the ward in the outer brush for a potential dive. Doinb comes in, is able to sandwich Uzi, and even though Uzi doesn't burn his summoner, he does have to pay with his life.
I would love to see the replay of that because the setup was definitely there for RNG. They had the 4 members ready for a dive. They had a wave incoming as well. They were just confident that they can get the kill on towards Chris before really anything even happened to LWX. But I guess before we even touch on that, Karsa's already on the move.
He didn't burn his flash in the last engage. At least he'll have it now onto Gimgoon, who has his own. Level 7 Gnar hops on over, dodges away. That'll be flash burnt from top, and that'll be a recurring gank to look out for.
It's a very clean play from Gimgoon. He knows that the cocoon's going to come out after the red buff auto attack. Dodges is out. Good predictions. Stays alive.
Remember, with RNG, you don't sit into the top side much, so getting a bit of pressure away from Langx is good news. He already had the CS advantage. He's going to get the shove out here as well, and maybe look for some turret plating.
I've been liking how this game's been playing out, even with the kill advantage and the nice outplay FPX had, I think, a few times for RNG. This is a consistent play that they can keep going for. At some point, it's going to succeed.
This is the ultimate peekaboo here from XiaoHu. Level 7 Zoe onto the bottom lane, and Uzi trying to poke them down as well, but how do you get under this turret?
Look, bot lane is simply a prison for LWX and Crisp, because XiaoHu's going to stick a while just for the wave to actually crash, and goodbye.
That was a good bluff. LWX does have teleport, but I don't think you want to use it on this turret right now.
And what I'm so surprised about right now is that XiaoHu has been able to dominate this lane. Usually when you think about Karma, she has such good wave clear, such good poke, and you have Gragas that can kind of come in and help with that as well. But RNG are wrestling away full lane control without any jungle intervention. That's very good for XiaoHu doing that to Doinb.
And at the end of the day, this is far more focus from both squads in this game in comparison to the last. Because, to your surprise, Hysterics, the teleport coming through was a great recognition that Doinb was pulling in pressure after pushing in the wave completely. Zoe wasn't going to be a part of the wave, and even then, the wave had been thinned out to an extent in which he can defend alongside Crisp there. So, good focus in that situation. He's not going to be, giving off a free kill like he did in the last game. In this case, FPX are ready to fight, and they're doing a great job with RNG's consistent pressure.
It has a much different feeling in the early game, Clement, when that solo 2v2 kill doesn't come through from the bottom lane of RNG.
It's much closer, and even with the bot lane dives, you do see FPX still hold relatively even in terms of the CS score. So Uzi's not getting a ridiculous start. There are things to look forward to, and that's kind of what I'm looking towards is the way FPX wants to build out their Karma. They do have a hyper carry in the Kaisa, so I do expect the Ardent Sensor to come out, or the Athenes to just kind of pump up LWX's damage, and they're putting faith in that AD carry to measure up to Uzi.
And take a look at the minimap right now. Bot lane is heavily defensive warded, so Ming and Uzi can play as they are, with Karsa not even being anywhere near them. So they have a good amount of ideas of where Tian is, can force, let's say, this kind of a play and play to their limits. while at the same time, Langx had a pretty large wave being pushed into. The expectation was that Tian was going to be there for a dive, so Karsa was there for a defensive play, just in case if the dive was going off. So RNG had put themselves in a map state where they were in a pretty high probability of succeeding in both lanes.
And now they're sending down the cavalry anyway, so XiaoHu, Karsa making their way as it's going to be Tian who's going to try and stop it. But remember, it's a mountain dragon first, so RNG's priority will extend past this.
All right, well, we see you, Uzi, but I don't think they had eyes on Karsa just yet.
Here comes...
As Chris going in for the engage, Uzi disappears, but remember, we've got to look at Karsa, who's making his entrance known. Tian gets Cocoon down, Ming survives for now, sends the ulti over to the Kaisa, repel up at Karsa, doesn't want to take the engage. Teleport comes through from XiaoHu, and FPX just have to disengage while RNG take dominance again.
That was hilarious, because while this play was happening, Doinb was tracking and skirmishing XiaoHu. But you can definitely tell he couldn't really do too much about XiaoHu just teleporting out of his face, so they just had to peace out from that entire play.
Now we're just back to square one. RNG still down here. Tian's going to do it again.
I really like the patience that FPX is getting here, but Tian probably not going to find this kill. But every time that you see RNG pushing out with priority and trying to group, FPX has been willing to take that second step. They're waiting a while, they're pushing out their own lanes, and then they're trying to catch RNG back when they go back.
Just good mind games overall in a position where Uzi and Ming wanted to base, and they didn't want it to be frozen out, so they're just sticking around a little while longer, but in a safe enough position for Karsa and XiaoHu to at least meet them if a skirmish were to happen. So once again, both teams are pretty smart with how to position 11 minutes into the game. But I'm taking a look at this and saying that I'm much more happier about how FPX has played it out.
Yep.
While I've seen RNG put themselves in a position for a bot lane dive about 2 to 3 times, it's FPX that have defended that one well, that are now getting to their key item breakpoints, the Mana Moon there for LWX so he can start scaling up. This is the least amount of damage I have ever seen Uzi do, with the pressure be so heavily in his favor.
Because normally with the Ezreal lane, Uzi takes control of it, he continues to dominate it, and he ends up with a couple of kills straight out of the phase itself, but this is FPX starting the Dragon, with RNG now moving their way in. Chris going to use the teleport, Dredgeline's going to come through. Disappearing act here from the supporters. Langx teleports in now on top of Doinb, who gets knocked up, but the Dragon may go over, but the fight, wow! Great explosive cast here from Tian, as FPX now want to leave the fight, but RNG won't let them.
Gimgoon's ready. He wants to get them out of there.
The Zoe burst already onto Chris, who doesn't have ult. He pops away Karsa. He'll die in the end, but that might be his life for it. Now on top of the repel, they're looking for the jungler wall. The front line here from Gimgoon. He hasn't gone into Mega Gnar just yet, but he will survive anyway. XiaoHu flashes away while ult comes through from LWX. A double kill for the Kaisa.
What patience from FPX, who were stuck in the pit for so long, but they waited for Gimgoon to get healthy enough to stack up Rage Bar and make it so RNG had to respect them.
That Athene's was the MVP of the fight for me. It procced so many damn times during that extended trade. You saw the shielding come down onto the Gnar over and over again, and it also protected the backline from being wiped out on RNG's side.
Here we go again.
Just the extended trade was so damn well. They got into position first, and Chris was willing to flash out of the first rotation from XiaoHu.
Chris was definitely, in my eyes, MVP here because your team is stuck in the pit. Your focus now is definitely get Langx down and create a barrier so you have a way to get out of there. You just need an exit strategy. You got the Dragon, great. Now Gimgoon can walk up. You now have the ability to get out of there for free. It was so close. He almost survived there too, but the Spiderlings are just so damn annoying. And then they found an opportunity to push for another fight. So Kaisa definitely saw an opportunity on XiaoHu, who was isolated as well, to just jump for the kill.
I'm glad at the start of this series I said that Kaisa would be a key pick. Again here in Game 2, this time for FPX, it's leading the charge. And this is a good sign of things to come.
And this is going to be a super fed Kaisa. Basically, FPX are running the RNG strategy right now by throwing Karma into LWX. Athene's going to come on next. It's going to buff up his attack speed, on-hit damage, and there will be looking for a crucial team fight when LWX hits that 2 items.
Yeah, and this is funny because in the history, like Doinb's career, he as a player, when he's put in a position where he's meant to support the rest of the squad, usually if you go up against teams like RNG, EDG, skill is a factor. He has to be the one that carries out the games. You can rely on LWX. We'll see it in this fight.
Well, we'll see, because Riftel was dropped, but I don't think FPX want to stick around to find out what happens next. They have the gold lead, they've got the patience, they've got the dragon.
And that's that evolution in your career. When, you know, through all of your previous teams, you've been aggressive to a fault, right? In your leads, you're always still looking for risks. In this case, with Coach Warhorse in tow as well, this team has definitely found opportunities where they're like, okay, well, we can just scale up for specific items. If LWX is not ready to fight now because he needs to get to his, you know, Quincy's Rage Blade, then great. Slow play denied them from even forcing these fights.
And I just want to tell the audience about the growth of FPX as a team, because they only started in 2018. They're the first, you know, franchising team to ever make it into an LPL finals. And they used to be known as the crazy team. We never thought they would find success because they could never play a safe weak side. They were always going crazy all over the map. With Doinb and Warhorse leading the helm, they have been able to chill out. They have been able to play slow and defensive, and you're seeing the results here.
I'll add Tian into that pretty easily as well, who was, remember, third place in MVP list for Spring Split, just as a player. You know, coming into this one, had his second opportunity as a starting jungler, coming in initially with Suning, then being given that opportunity in FPX. They now have very talented players that give them this opportunity. So, you know, taking a second look at the map right now, RNG is forcing topside, and FPX is respecting that once again, taking a note of the fact that their bot side's working in favor of Gimgoon.
Still trading that turret quicker. It's going to be bottom side, still pushed in by the Gnar, while Langx looking to get his own form of gold. I want to add in this game that it feels like Langx is actually...
Oh, you're dead!
I'm dead.
Resuscitate!
I'm back. Langxing's actually had a game, is what I was trying to say before I almost choked on myself.
All right, it's cool, it's cool. You need to watch out for the water around here, just because I've booby-trapped them.
Oh, you have?
Yes, I
Oh,
have.
that's probably why.
I have played a few play-by-play games, so I definitely want to take that spot.
You haven't had one of my moments, though, so that's okay.
All right.
That's fair.
Just happens every now and then. There's a lot of names to go for.
Guys.
Like, Langx is always a difficult name to go through.
Oh, okay, you're talking about the game. All right, fair enough.
But I think RNG, they do need to think about how they're going to make picks happen. I would say their team is not really built for those front-to-back 5v5 team fights. They actually have a very weak front line. So they're much looking for creating blind spots on the map, using that poke to nail down on picks, while FPX, they're looking for that sustained engagement where they can have multiple rotations of the Karma Shield going down, get maximum use of Athene's Unholy Grail, and just power through it in an extended fashion.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're just talking about map state, yeah, he didn't see it coming, but he's going to be fine. I have faith. The map state is going to be in favor of RNG simply because they're making use of Gimgoon's matchup pressure, which is wonderful. I mean, take a look at Aatrox at all times is underneath his inner turret, and that makes it a great opportunity to pick yourself up a second dragon. Now with the next dragon being a mountain, find yourself a double mountain dragon. It's a pretty stable game here from FPX going forward.
I will agree with you if you meant FPX.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I said Gimgoon.
Okay.
That's what Gimgoon ain't playing
you said RNG. I was just clarifying.
Okay, I'm sorry. It was my throat that did this, guys. I'm sorry.
Either way, I'm just going to be taking a look at the fact that I feel like Gimgoon is going to be the most important asset here for FPX. In side lane situations, in team fights, because he's actually been really aware of his Gnar bar in major team fights. Just being able to have the access to your ultimate is going to be crucial. I think honestly, the player who's impressed me the most in the LPL with the Gnar has been Mariant in the past when he's been with LGD. Sure. And I feel like Gimgoon has been very close to being able to hit that factor every time in fights. He's been impressive this split for sure.
I mean, Gimgoon has almost a wider champion pool as Doinb. Remember, this is the top laner that we start associating with the Gangplank here in summer. I'll have to hold that thought because Tian just walks in like a boss and steals away the red buff. Mid-thought.
You gotta love that. That's just a showcase of confidence in front of RNG. You know, RNG came in with business faces on their entire roster. There's no emotion. We're just here to win this clean sweep on their minds. But FPX were the one that looked a bit jittery. I think those plays really set the tone for your team moving forward.
And take a look at if we're just talking about game state once again, LWX is in a position where you just have to play through them. Unfortunate, but you'll still be able to get the blue buff. I have faith. Please. Get it.
Hang on.
No! All right, we all right.
We good.
I'm emotional with them too, but at least they were able to pick up the blue buff.
Sorry, Raz, go on.
But the Rage Blade being picked up for LWX, and he's super close to being able to now fully stack his Muramana. So we're at a state now where you just confidently play around LWX, and you always have Gimgoon's lane working out for himself. It needs to be RNG with the Elise and Zoe that finds a pick on towards either Doinb or Tian. All their front lines, I think you've made a mention of this, Clement, are incredibly squishy. So a Sleepy Trouble Bubble on either members will actually have major impact.
And I'm really looking towards that second Mountain Drake to be the kind of make or break point for RNG.
Okay.
If they don't find the catches here, double Mountain to FPX, very fast plasma stacks on the Kaisa, and they will be looking to secure that very early on. You have a Gnar with the Rage Bard who can control when he comes into team fights, so RNG, they have to find something here.
Because you have genuine fear that at this point, by the time you get to that mountain, Clement, we're going to have a 3-item Kaisa that's there to react. So in terms of item spikes, Uzi may have his Trinity Force, but that's a big Kaisa once again.
Good dodge out here, but you have to be aware, once again, vision control being in favor of RNG in this position, that this is when Zoe can really be an insane amount of nuisance here. And how XiaoHu tends to take over games on the pick. Watch out, Tian.
We'll talk about longer mid lanes. Tian walks into the river, and that just goes out the window. Half health on the Gragas. No Ocean to heal him up, but you got the Happy Hour passive to bring him back.
If I'm FPX, I'm just holding my horses for now. This is clearly a bait from RNG to try to
All
get
right.
big.
Does that look like holding your horses?
Never
In goes
mind.
Crisp into the backline. Tian almost gets bursted out. They break the sound barrier once again as Karsa comes in over the rappel. Ming almost dies as LWX takes on the backline. Over goes Gimgoon, and Langx left to his lonesome. That'll be a great two-shot barrage, but the Aatrox gets taken down, and FPX find their first major team fight.
Yeah, never chillaxing. They found themselves with no vision there. RNG didn't see the cow coming. Great opportunity to combo alongside Tian, and now they're looking straight towards the Baron.
I really want to see how Chris found that angle. Did he just pop across the wall? Because RNG did have a ward inside the river itself. Perfect flank. They get the team fight. They scatter RNG's complete front line. No picks in the early start of the fight. FPX are going to win that.
And it looks like we've just flipped the script here in Game 2. RNG looked this dominant in Game number 1. FPX have come through, taking the Baron and taking the first major gold lead in this game.
And it's in a surprising fashion. Of course, we didn't get to see the context here for how Crisp got in that position, but the damage is very apparent. Like, even with Tian, who was the most vulnerable in that fight, being in that flank and being as low as he was able to still contribute at the back half.
It was a really good idea in this team fight. They first forced out Uzi first. Karsa was left on his lonesome, and it was just cleanup duty from then on.
And if we're just talking about comfort picks, Crisp and Alistar, right? I know technically Ming has got the ally too.
We got two great allies.
But Crisp has definitely rose up into the ranks as one of the best supports right now in the world, with how well he's been able to perform alongside Tian and finding plays like that consistently.
Sure, we'll get a close look at how that happened, but for now, you can have faith that Crisp and LWX, the heart of this second game, have helped secure the Baron, helped secure the fight, and now in the side lanes, Gimgoon, as you guys were talking about earlier in the game, he's hit those 2-item windows, and he's a menace in that bottom lane.
Yeah, just isolate it, make it so if anyone comes up, let's just say Karsa.
Oh, hang on, Killer Instinct! FPX, that's the go button.
It's snowballing, my friends. I don't think RNG can do too much about this.
RNG, they can't even get through the shields that Doinb is poking down at this point. If they need to find an engage, it has to be a hard committal, and it has to be a kill.
You heard me mentioning the score. XiaoHu gets caught out with a portal jump. Instant reaction from LWX. 6-0-5 on this Kaisa.
I want to see if this Gimgoon Rage Bar is going to go to naught, but take a look at this. This is the wave that they want to crash on. RNG have to fight here.
Oh, they just want to take it right now. Uzi and Karsa get separated by the explosive casket, and the Nautilus is dead immediately. FPX will not be stopped here in this second game. They're on the inhibitors fast.
It's the decisiveness we've seen during the regular season. This team is fast with their leads. RNG needs to find a way to slow this down.
It doesn't look like they can. Baron's crashing in once again. The inhibitor turret number 2 is going to go down. Inhibitor with it. I told you they flipped the script, and FPX look confident.
And there's things on the map that they can still pick up after this as well. The Mountain Drake is going to come up. I just feel like RNG, they drafted themselves a composition without a lot of wave clear. They had an Elise that needs to do something early game, and neither of those fronts really worked out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it came down to decisive plays from the primary supportive picks. I remember like being able to see LWX dart into the back line is what's made him famous. But yeah, the moment you find yourself getting dove like this, you start to really take a second look at your life. How did I get in this position?
Good coordination from FPX. You have to say the improvement from Game 1 to Game 2. That's why you're setting in for a potential series.
I love the combo that they're using right here. It's just Karma Shield, speed up the Alistar, and just send him straight into the enemy composition. RNG cannot withstand their carries being knocked up.
Yeah, the utility that they have, the shielding from the Karma is going to make it super easy to look for those dives. They have a cannon minion wave here too, so all right, at least they got the good poke off.
Well, the poke we're talking about with RNG hits Doinb in the back line. That's just shield, and maybe that slows down the last push of the Baron.
Looks like it will reset the map, but FPX still have full control. And that mountain's still going to go over to their side.
Kind of reminds me of the last game a little bit, mostly because RNG was in this very same position. They had inhibitor down in both mid lane and bottom lane, and they kind of sped it up a little bit too quickly, needed to work with their bot side waves a little bit more. I'm still really confident in FPX here because, I mean, they can still pick up Mountain Dragon as an example that you pointed towards. I mean, next Baron is certainly going to be on the cards with double Mountain. It's going to be RNG that needs to poke their head out to try and find those picks, and I think it's just way too far gone.
Like I said in that first game, Clement, just to interrupt you there, it was the one moment needing to be found with RNG. I say the same thing. I look towards the pick potential we talked about with Zoe, and as you guys mentioned, with the Trouble Bubble.
Shields don't matter if you can put someone in a body bag. Now, the moments
said.
RNG are waiting for are those times when you don't have Gimgoon on full rage bar. You can full engage on them. And honestly, Uzi is getting to the point where once he finishes Blade of the Ruin King, he will have enough damage to punch through the front line of FPX. So I think it's just about if RNG can get that crucial team fight, can punish for another siege, and maybe they get back in the game.
As you can see from the minimap, I mean, the wards that are positioned, as you can already see, got Gimgoon out of there, so there was no possibility for RNG to even find a pick when the rest of the team was getting back onto the map. And that's really important. You don't get to see this a lot of the times from, you know, teams like FPX in the past. You know, the new teams without necessarily a lot of veterans that can bring you to this stage. And for them, they're incredibly clean with the lead that they have. I don't think RNG can really find that pick unless if it's just literally outplaying a team fight that FPX are looking for.
Or we look towards that Baron steal from Karsa. But as you mentioned, towards the vision there, hard to get towards a pit without FPX setting up. But at this point, with the double inhibitors broken and the top side pushing in, FPX don't want to get to that point.
Back at step one, take a look at the bottom lane wave. It's a cannon minion and it's a super minion and it's Gimgoon just alongside with it. He's incredibly safe here. FPX don't need to do a damn thing until they see another member walking towards the Gnar.
Tian looking for the pick. LWX fixes up the wave in the mid lane as well. 13 seconds until that Baron spawns. And Ming, bit far forward here, I might add, as LWX going to walk away, but Chris goes in for the engage. Langx goes into World Ender, and LWX still far behind the enemy front line. As that's the explosive cast use once again. Langx has to flash away. That's Killer Instinct. LWX the madman. QSS says, and survived. Instant triple kill, and you know XiaoHu's going to die as well. He walks around, dies by Langx's hand, but that's enough by FPX.
That's the shotgun for you. If he sees that opportunity, he's going to go straight for it, and that's the win right there for FPX.
The wham bam, thank you ma'am, to equalize to a 1-1 grand final.